The Toronto Blue Jays finally have a free agent signing, an impact one, as they sign Anthony Santander to a 5-year contract with a bunch of different options and a bunch of different opt-outs for a whole lot of money, upwards of $90 million. The Blue Jays, to use the baseball term, struck out in free agency on Ohtani and Soto and Roki Sasaki, but they now have at least some impact in their lineup this season as they bring in Anthony Santander. So firstly, for the Blue Jays, it's nice that someone said yes. You know, like they get Turner last year, but that was I don't know, where else is this guy going to go? And he's kind of at the end of his run. This is a guy who is legitimately going to spend the last part of his prime with the Toronto Blue Jays and decided that was a thing to do. I will say there is a little bit of hesitancy on my part that it took so long when the Jays were the front runners the whole time. Like it does kind of feel like a couple of these guys happen with Burns and then he leaves for Arizona. Whereas like the Blue Jays have the best offer. They have the best offer. Okay, why isn't it done? Why isn't it done? Takes another offer from somewhere else. Santander, they had the best offer, and he's sticking around. So what does Anthony Santander bring to the Toronto Blue Jays? Well, apparently part of the contract, toxic messaging in the chat here, Ben Nicholson-Smith just tweeted that there are heavy deferrals in the deal, which is the new thing, apparently, in Major League Baseball, is we're just going to kick this can down the road. Personally, I would think with the advent of, like, high interest savings accounts and stuff like that, I would want to have that money now and we can just, put the interest rates and whatever. But I mean, look, they're all better at their money than I am because they make a lot of it. So, but still, you would assume that it seems weird to me. Anyway, but heck of a retirement plan, heck of a pension to be able to manage that. So for Anthony Santander, just pulling up his baseball reference now, he had not the best batting average season last year at .235, but 44 home runs and 102 RBI. He has an OPS plus of 134, which for those not necessarily into the fancy stats, that means that he was 34% better than the average hitter in baseball last season based on that metric. It's his worst batting average season in the big leagues at all, aside from the 100 at-bats that he had in 2018 as a 23-year-old. He is 29 right now. He will turn 30 by the time... Or sorry, he is 30 now. He turns 31 in October. It's something the Blue Jays lineup didn't have. And it's something that they were built assuming that Vladdy would be that, is a guy who can just hit the ball out of the ballpark. They have a few guys who are slap the ball around, get on base guys. They didn't have, like, what I think they thought Vladdy was going to be was just bomb home run guy. And because they didn't have that, you have to work really hard to score runs. And sometimes it's just nice to have a guy in the middle of the lineup who can just hit the ball out of the ballpark. And now you have that with Santander. 44 home runs last year. He's actually had like 3 really good seasons in a row here for the Orioles. OPS plus of 120, 121, and 134. Home run totals of 33, 28, and 44. RBI totals of 89, 95, and 102. That's also playing at Camden Yards, where they moved the fence back a lot out in left field. And for a switch hitter, like around half of his at-bats, he's going to be facing that way in that ballpark. And so Rogers Center, a little bit more home run friendly for him, I would assume. So I think that this is going to help out. Also, as Toxic said, known Blue Jays killer. He did seem to beat up on the Blue Jays a pretty good amount here. And so that doesn't hurt, getting him away from the opposition. But no, this is the exact type of batter that the Toronto Blue Jays needed in the middle of their lineup. And so now, when you look at what this team potentially could look like here going into next season, this is the lineup right now. George Springer leading off. Vladdy, I would put number 2. I think we are at a point in 2025 where you want your best hitter hitting second so that they get the most at-bats possible throughout a season. At 3, I would put Santander. Bo Bichette batting in the cleanup spot. I think he's still got the power to be able to do that. Dalton Varsho batting 5th. Alejandro Kirk 6th, Will Wagner 7th, Andres Jimenez batting 8th, and Ernie Clement batting 9th. For those who are watching right now, you can see that there's some nice, if you wanted to flip Clement and Jimenez, nice little lefty-righty, lefty-righty, lefty-righty symmetry that you can get going on there. Now, that's not as important now that lefties have to stay in the games for 3 batters, and sometimes it can actually sometimes help if they line it up right, and then you get a lefty into an inning and they only have to face one right-handed batter. But still, I think that it is still something that can help you out a little bit. And it's also a versatility in a lineup that they never really had before with that amount of lefties that you feel okay in. Jimenez isn't going to, I don't think, light the world on fire with his bat. But Wagner, I think, is interesting as a DH. Also on the bench, it's Schneider, Straw, who they just acquired. Another Jimenez. And Heineman as their catcher. So there is some growth potential with this offense. Like this is, even with just one guy, this is a better offense than it was a season before. But as Toxic is saying in the chat, one more bat would make this lineup just look so much better. I think as it is constituted right now, this is the lineup of a team that is battling for the last wildcard spot in the American League. That's basically what I see right here. But let's say, and I like Wagner. I think you switch, Wagner playing third maybe this year. You get Alonso there, right? Like, let's just dream as big as you can with what's left in the free agent market. You get Alonso there in that DH spot. He moves up to 4. I maybe should have crafted these. You get him up to 4. Put Bo Bichette as the number 5 hitter, and then you're leading things with Springer, Vlad, Santander, and Alonso with then Bichette, and it just kind of bumps everyone down. You feel great about that. Also, Bregman, I think, I feel like Bregman might get an overpay, and I don't know how well that's all going to age. Like, he's not an old dude, but it's a lot of baseball miles, so to speak. But you put him at 3rd, and then you can have him batting 5th behind these guys, and just kind of move everyone down. Like, it feels like everyone is about one spot in the order too high for this team to really go out and make a big splash. Now, if they get both those guys we're talking about, then we're talking about a team like, okay, we can maybe get a good wildcard spot. Like, I still don't think they're competing with the Yankees this year. But this is, you can at least see in that lineup there that there is at least some potential that this team could be maybe a little bit better than we thought. Or certainly better than what we saw from them a season ago. They still need another bat to really, I think, round that out, like we were saying. Just to kind of round out this little mini team preview we got going on with the Toronto Blue Jays right now. Here is the pitching rotation. You have Gausman, Barrios, Bassett, Bowden, France, and Yariel Rodriguez right now as your top 5. Manoah, he had Tommy John or UCL surgery. That happened in June or July last year. So he is probably out until the back part of the season. And then I would imagine just as a long relief guy. And then in your bullpen right now, you have Hoffman, Green, Garcia. They also have Swanson, and then Brendan Little as the left-handed pitcher. I would like at least one more lefty in that bullpen. We've talked about it before. I would love one more closer dude in the back end there. If you're able to have Hoffman be your 8th inning guy, and either Yimmy or Green be your 7th inning guy, and then have the other one and Swanson as your middle relief, you feel great about that. Minter just signed. Minter signed with the Mets, I want to say. But like a guy like that would have been good. Yeah, like the one that obviously comes to mind is who the Yankees got in Devin Minter. That would have been great. Yeah, the Mets signed AJ Minter, and the other one who we're going to talk about in a sec is Tanner Scott. That would have been phenomenal. Would have been the missing piece, I think, for that bullpen. And the starting rotation, again, it feels like it's a guy away, doesn't it? Like, it would be great if Yariel or Francis could go into the bullpen as a long relief guy. And you have Gausman, Barrios, Bassett as a 4, and then like a Francis and whoever. But like a Scherzer or something along those, like a real legitimate at this point number 3 would feel good. So it just, everything we look at there, whether it's the starting rotation, the bullpen, or the lineup, they all feel like they are one guy away from being able to make a real splash and being one guy away from being a real competitive, strong baseball team right now. But they're getting closer at least. And that is what feels pretty good from a Blue Jays perspective.